The Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade. How do you feel? When I was about 23, I aborted a pregnancy. It caused me a lot of pain over the years, emotionally. But I would never, not in a million years, be for banning it. The case of unviable pregnancies alone is horrifying. It will also force children and raped people to give birth, and a lot of women will die from the birthing process alone because red states have terrible pregnancy mortality rates. If I was American and any other than a white heterosexual cis man, I'd get out of there as fast as I could, or at least go to a deep blue state and hope for the Republicans to never again get anywhere near the White House. I am an American white heterosexual cis man and I want out. I've said for years now that the only thing keeping me here is my dad, and I'm his only child and my mom's already gone. Once his time has passed, I thoroughly plan to immigrate. At least I managed to get out of the red state I lived in last year, but I'm sure that's only a minor obstacle for the shit show. I don't feel good. I'm a police officer. I will enforce the laws that they instantly placed in Oklahoma. Someone else can take the case. I will not put handcuffs on someone for abortion. I will not inevitably put handcuffs on someone for having a gay relationship. And I will not put handcuffs on someone for being married and gay. I will happily lose my job on this hill. In 10 years, we will see a large increase in crime rate as children are forced to be born in poverty, which I believe is what the government desires. More poverty-stricken low-class workers keep the cogs of the wheel of Social Security inflated for another 10 years. Low income increases crime rate, and the cycle continues. Things are bleak, and in all honesty, if this is the hill I lose everything on, then so be it. I think I'm having a panic attack. I was just told my pregnancy isn't likely to be viable at the end of last week, but there is still a heartbeat. I don't know what this is going to change for me in literally the next few days. I have an appointment at 1 to help determine if we need to terminate, but now I'm not sure what options I have. I am so scared and angry. I really and truly appreciate the support in this comment thread. The health of my baby has deteriorated more since my last appointment, so my doctor recommended termination. As things stand in my state, a ban after 6 weeks is coming, but hopefully not fast enough to prevent me from getting this needed healthcare. I am trying to get an appointment as quickly as possible to avoid having to travel out of state. Thank you to everyone who has offered their state, guest room, money, best wishes, and prayers. It's just the start. Clarence Thomas wrote today that contraception and gay marriage are next. The court is giving you guns, but taking away everything else. As someone with a background in history, banning everything but weapons in a nation with a large underclass that feels they have no future and nothing to lose and already has a problem with persistent acts of terrorism is let's just say an interesting move. I feel the urge to leave and move to a state that aligns more with my beliefs in women's constitutional rights to abortion, or even another country if I can. I feel angry, sad, and scared. Being a woman in this country is becoming a living nightmare. As a healthcare worker, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. I'm legitimately scared about what ends people will go to without safe options for birth control. Our healthcare system is stretched thin as is, and emergency medicine is a rubber band barely holding it together. I don't like the implications of how this can potentially break something so damn fragile, especially after the fallout of the COVID pandemic. This is also going to have broad implications on the right to privacy in general, but particularly the right to privacy between you and your doctor, and economics. That girl was going to become a local GP for the elderly? Not anymore. She was raped and got pregnant and had a kid, and now can't get the education because she has no resources. The nice lady that was a waitress at your favorite place? Well, she had a miscarriage, super common, and wasn't allowed to have the remains removed and died of sepsis. She is no longer contributing to our community. It'll be countless stories like this of misery, poverty, denial of opportunities, and death. These states want more babies. They're going to get a lot more death and despair, and not as many babies as you think. Abortions will still happen just as much, but women will die. And for men, Dudes, they ain't paying you enough to support a family on a single income anymore, but they just took a crowbar to kneecaps of the other half of the income in your household. Women who are dead or chronically pregnant struggle to work because pregnancy is a big fucking deal. And childcare isn't cheap, is it? So she will be forced to stay home if she doesn't die. Oh, and massively in medical debt. Every baby is like $10K if it's healthy, more if it's not. A lot of you are also about to start becoming widowers and single parents when your wives die from denial of healthcare. And single men? Do you think women are going to be having sex with the risk of pregnancy and/or death because they took away contraceptives, healthcare access? They aren't. The risks are now way too high to be having sex. If you think only women are affected by the abortion ban, you are wrong. Forcing babies into poverty will only increase crime rates because children and adults of low economic status have more incentive to join gangs and commit crimes. Imagine trying to buy a house or get a job with all of the extra competition in this effing economy. Imagine trying to have a kid with your wife, but there are medical complications which make your fetus non-viable, requiring an abortion, and she dies for no reason. People you know personally will be affected and may die or suffer immensely as a result. This affects the entire country in a very negative way. You might think this won't affect you because most of us never lived in a reality where abortion was banned federally. All it takes is bad luck for it to affect you. Sick. My friend had 3 miscarriages this year, 2 of which required abortions for her health and future fertility. Women and babies will die. People will lose mothers, wives, girlfriends, daughters, granddaughters. The list goes on. More children will be born only to be abused and neglected. The fallout will be more wide-ranging and insidious than we can ever anticipate. I'm also violently angry. The US is going to look like Romania did during Ceausescu's reign. Full orphanages and dead women. That women in Malta that can't get a therapeutic abortion after she miscarried is going to happen in the US many times over. All these folks who said that the vaccine is their choice and the government can't force them to take it because it's their body, now has to take it since the government apparently has control over their bodies. It is probably one of the most disastrous domestic policy decisions in my lifetime. Extraordinarily disappointed. I'm a doctor and I have seen how much nuance goes into this decision with regards to health impacts for a mother or viability of the fetus, and many states are going to squash the ability to even consider the complex factors that go into this decision. As I said above, it is disastrous. It's the only word I have for this. Weird, because I'm German and our parliament just liberalized abortion law today. Hours later, they overturn Roe v. Wade in the US. So yeah, in the past, the US was a place to look up to in terms of individual rights and freedom, but I guess that's no more. Betrayed as an American. We can't have any progress in this country due to a very small, rich, and powerful minority who treats a 2,000-year-old book as law, which they consistently misquote or misrepresent. I know the Bible wasn't quoted in the decision. The conservative justices are too smart to overrule something off pure religious pretext, but you are an absolute idiot with their head in the sand if you think their faith played no role in this being overturned after being a judicial precedent for more than 30 years. I feel physically ill. This is one of the worst days in American democracy in the last century. Our fertility doctor has informed us that he will no longer provide services to me and my wife given the higher chance of needing a medically necessary abortion. Any stillborn child would now legally be required to be carried to full term. This is far too dangerous for my wife's health in this medical opinion. So intense rage is how I'm feeling. No abortion, no healthcare, no maternity leave, no affordable housing, school violence, police authorities with too much power and close to zero control and responsibility, lobbying. America feels like the premium third world. While not American, I'll be watching the aftermath unfolding with some anxiety. This flavor of insanity is often contagious. As a lawyer, I just remember learning in law school to love constitutional law, because at least there, it was based upon how each judge in the Supreme Court had a very specific ideology when it came to the Constitution. The most notable ideological positions that the conservative side of the Supreme Court liked to espouse were personal liberty, following the original words of the Constitution, which I remind you said black people could be slaves and only counted as 3/5 a person, state rights, and state decisis. Essentially, that prior rulings had to be followed and could not be overturned just because you didn't like the original ruling. After yesterday's Second Amendment ruling, where the court said New York State was not entitled to limit open carry rules on guns, the court took the antithetical position today on abortion, while simultaneously shitting on personal liberty and stare decisis. Because the Constitution did not expressly state that abortion was a right, it became clear that this new court does not have an actual consistent ideological belief. Aside from, we will rule whichever way we think is best. This is not the purpose of this court, and it truly has made me lose faith in the institution and start to believe that the best days of our country that were focused on principle are long behind us. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and write in the comments what you think about the ban on abortion.